다들이야, 더마른 한번 행기 삼룰이야. 아니, 첨지슈하당. 아니, 아주 양결 냠도 좋아하대 가보좀 쉬어야지.
First of all, I would like to offer my greetings to all of you, and I would like to say that I'm very happy to be able to get together with you all again.
다들 대신들이 유저로입니다. 다들 유저게버 지도산다 니마 숨 집치에 제 유자네다 가장 쉬운 것이 녀리야데 너마 디스방도에 상점으로 가장 마디 초대는 마디 지만데 엔디젤이야 가장 먼저 쉬운 신기 무구단제 볼이야 계속하시지 쉬어요.
So today is the 26th, and we have this teaching until the 28th, so we have 3 more days in this teaching. So what I would like to do this afternoon is begin by reading a bit more of the rules for Kagyu meditators that we have been going through. And then, as I said the other day, there are a few things that I would like to say about devotion.
대나 라제조 유건데라 무구치 심제나 사슴 쳔데라 신랑순보데 총월 검다들 로자체 총매기 자제들 랩장 쳔베 리브로 송데 다이ገብ을 쇼소소 제거의 인 시그레 칼은 되나야 만든 건 등규데 장신라 펜을 쳔데베 치슈머슈 삼롱어주를 당거베
When you arrive in a social situation, low or high, you must take control with mindfulness. One must take care of saddle sores on a horse's back. Before you speak any words verbally, you should think 5 or 6 times about whether what you say will benefit or harm yourself or others.
차르뷰 깨라리 진내야 디동이 주를 송마송 시거바이 칸드원주 밀레 니듀 혼자 니니지 러든 제메 러블치 섬두 녀베 삼삼치 로두 차보포보치 만내저기미단 디미디윈 제바다 삼그.
You must think about whether or not it will bind you to this life. When you offer a prostration or tie a belt, you must examine whether or not that becomes a cause of misdeeds and downfalls. You should think like Milarepa, the lord of Dakinis, sleeping like a bureaucrat when you sleep, speaking pointlessly when you speak, thinking like a lunatic when you think, stomping like a bandit when you go. These don't fit with me, a man of yoga.
지리 검천바 퇴바 체르마제베 탄년 정성로 몸베 최게 많아 tuyamba kungi chayne digbaso gomchengi shamdendo zhawe chöge mamang chöge chebe loge tuyan rewa de tsini lu yin nyamlenbe lu la nyembo de gyu jin dendri chebe loge tuyan do rewa yin do na semgi semsung lawe laba sung go tu mik zum zemo zewe tumi zawara nyamlen la zundun juru chebe tsadro mikom kom gi ngane nubchirnye nangawang shikobayi 센지 니만라 디기 라와 차차를 제바디 둔줄로인.
Generally, great meditators do not study extensively, so they are ignorant of the distinctions between terms. If there is too much Dharma terminology, they embarrass all the Buddhas and commit misdeeds. When you go as the attendant to a great meditator, don't use much Dharma jargon. Hoping to improve your intelligence through using Dharma language is the way of scholastics. In the tradition of practice, the hope is to improve your mind by mixing the antidotes with your beings as much as possible. In brief, take your mind with your mind, take your hand with your hand. This is not the time to wrap your head, close your eyes, and play games. You should be so intent on being diligent about practice that you have hardly time for meals, going to sleep late and getting up early. Spending a day gazing at the sun and yawning widely is what animals do.
최기 예보 그 상비 표출을 냠는 시거바이 제 송바데 투데네 오골 곰벨루 제 곰벨루 제장 도지 기중마 되어 샤지도 곰바 두게 라마라 수엔데 타메기 응스기 바르마지베 동치메렘바 유크베 셔드운 제와시 제상 대마셰바 당에 유라 곰마게베 곰체겐 드부미용와다사네 쉐다 라마라 이체 제바텔라 탑 고문이 주스 주게 줘도미도 반도.
What the king of Dharma, Good Sangpa, said is very true. Child, you need a Dharma practice. Of course we do meditation, but have we ever sat for an entire day in meditation without getting out of the Vajra posture? Have we ever supplicated the Lama continuously for 7 days, uninterrupted by ordinary words, our face wet with tears, taming our being? If we haven't done that, when we say, meditation has not arisen in my being, I meditated, but it seems the result will not come, and lose confidence in the Dharma and Lama, we may try all sorts of methods to try and fix it, but we may not be able to.
人具了年不查出这个云淡没用我的，别个呢先了光切呗，用我解密西，天来给我先切吧，开不起来我跟，恐怕我们的别打米，人具帮着经济，新具年不见了也搞现场。
If we have never applied the antidotes in our beings for the length of time it takes to brew tea, using that as an example and then telling others, I have meditated, but it is impossible to gain any experience. It's better to do some other virtue, is speech that makes the inferior superior, that demotes the superior below the lesser. It is like when someone generalizes that others who have the antidotes must have the discards in their own being.
도나 산주 면함실에 민되나 대신준 동에는 랑게 냠술래 버시거베이 대나 랑리 최셔바디 미신게 마조르기 토바시 쇠데르 제나야 셴라 몸츠시 마토에버 토반다 챙긴구 최규라마 예벨레 대나 세그라 삼밤미동와 시툼 너둡지라 뇨아시 마게게 바 라마뎀 리춘디니 데리 냠베 세제 차보시 지네 계세 랑게 그 잼롱메데 생기 꾸바시 dimro 장 롱메도 봉봉거베이 제나 밀러 트레바차와 쳔디베 펜도레 라와메베시거베이 랑게 뇽와마데베 냠레데라 뇽와 튠베 냠레데라 미시실데거베이 가나야 뇽와마게베 로망부 민주바차와 메바라 타르추바 지게 메바 텐자베 가나 밀레.
In brief, even if you do more than recite the aspiration for excellent conduct, you must dedicate the benefit to others and practice it yourself. It might be as if we are afraid that others will not know that we are practicing the Dharma, so when we recite a prayer, we make a big show of it, afraid that we will not be heard. This is because everyone who does this has not developed the Dharma in their beings. Therefore, until we have the experience of not thinking of food or clothing, and not caring whether we die. It is important that to have intense resolve that we will never part from this Lama or this retreat. We must strive as if we have no time to sew our own clothes or even help spin thread for someone if asked. You must be a loner who has no hope for any benefit in this life. We must devote our entire human life to the practice that will give us experience. If you have no experience in anything, nothing will penetrate. You won't do anything, and in the end, you won't accomplish even a single thing. People like that never get anywhere.
Tena jir semjen tamjigi nane gen nyomu ba shidu miduba nga jawa nyamne dunge kuryu do sonwa shigwe te zana kashi nyamsu mi len kame mugi sadung kanyo misa kame bashi nyamsu len ba di keche.
Thinking about how you, among all sentient beings, have not been able to overcome the afflictions, you must examine how you are surrounded by suffering. Once you do that, there is no way you will not be able to practice what you know. It is important to practice like someone who eats whatever food and drink they have in a famine.
다바지 데르지 질라베 샤샤나 다 가르슬라우다 간다야 베 가스베다지 다 간다 세브 카르디 세브를 소요하래 제산들이 인주산 당에데 망보지 되시게고 아스케민도 성도스.
So that is all very clear and understandable, so I don't think there is much need for me to explain it.
단도나 최사의 다 최사입니다. 다 간다 냠렌 시두산에 지 퇴바 점시 뱅겨 말에 아나는 신지 최 러베 코아르 지게체 서머르바다 지칼 한성으로 지 고르 최바 점시 뱅겨 말에 단도나 지 최의 런규레베 자네 냠렌 체네 양다 양도 베 랑게 셈대당 담배 최디니 비주 자르체 아니 양다 양도 베 콤진 디브 제와디 게침으로 지미다.
When we say practice, it's not all that helpful for us just to hear the Dharma, to listen to the Dharma. It's not all that helpful for us to, in some manner, develop an understanding about the Dharma. What we really need to do is we need to join the Dharma with our own being, and then we need to practice that over and over again, joining our being with the Dharma so that we can become habituated and familiarized with it. This is what is most important.
드네 주산에다 다 가르 드네다 무구 거르지다 조스 셰베입니다. 다 되려야 아니지 지당기 무구베 변 무구 사데다 오늘 계신보 베너지 가르에 그 유변들 처음이미나 무구사데 아니면 냠랭 티르제 계신 주차리 알레디 임비네고 레라버지 민도와 드리주산당 알아르지 미나 지 무구 베 대zam시기 다 무구 첨부로 가서 노리나 성마르다 드르지 가사지기 무구 고게 샤오초나 다시 라시에 연스케 요마레 대임비냐 팀뷰르지 디돌이야 드제르 슈나 sometimes.
Now, to speak about the topic of devotion. When we say devotion, it is very important for our Dharma practice. Particularly in the Kagyu tradition, it is it's critical within our practice to have the devotion. But it is not actually all that easy to develop for us to develop that devotion. And so for us, it's difficult to really develop that extent of devotion. So sometimes when we speak about it for any one individual, it's hard to, there really isn't that much to say. But to give a little bit of an explanation of it,
다 될량 가수에 다 church 주베게 다 견내야 배지 tenji chi yen ro ji da ane nyeleng gi be gen ro ji na ba ni zong gu ye ba.
when we practice the Dharma, we need two sorts of causes and conditions. We need the cooperating conditions and then the substantial cause.
다 될량 tenji chi yen yuan du che wei mi na 다 거 유 고만 남지 가수에 병아 주 상원로지 최 냠내 최초로 섬으로 답변하지 배나 미장지가 나올이야 아마 상부 주예비나 아마 디기 에네 코라 난디 부디스 다 칠로리아 치년 나래야 로요의 급리아 에네베 칼라 사쇼쇼 에네 칼라 좋아도 된바 배 사쇼쇼 동쇼쇼로 데 처리 제샤와 나 신기 에네 거주 고만남기에다 안 소리야베 그 처지를 차상에 비밀했어. 처지 차상 제어하래.
So the cooperating condition is something that is provided for us by the masters, the Kagyu masters of the path, in telling us how to practice the Dharma. It's like in a family. If you have a really good parent in a family, then that parent will maybe take the children off out to school or outside and then go home and then get a delicious meal ready so that it's ready right there for the children when they come home. And in the same way, the Kagyu masters of the past it's like they've gotten everything ready for us to practice.
대야 제가 못배기 고랑기다 로마 제금지당 주도 캄바부스당 되네 주도 캄바 도지양 파무 주발라서 탐지 좀 대비 급질이야 아니 제가 못배기에 키랑수 텐도 아니 가와빠도 매버 제베니스 되네 주산에 가와지야도 좀 망치에 녜베 가와지에 키랑수 강에시다 제모 쇠쇠 키랑수 당 소한다바 지부 나래야 소한다바 지부 에베 뒤니 뒤니 주바 주하지기 에베 가수를 녜 쇠쇠 아 소요하레스
So once the Lord Karmapa, in a gathering of many of his students, including his nephew, Je Gomsul, as well as the white-haired one from Kham, Dusum Kempa, and Pakmo Drupa, and so forth, they were all gathered together. And Karmapa said to his students, I've gone through incalculable difficulties on your behalf. And I have done this so that you will not need to do such difficulties yourself. All you will need is to just supplicate me. So I have made it so that you will not need to, you can achieve things without any effort and spontaneously.
안다나 신기 겨우 그 상배기 jawa go sambe kan de sun ar sana nye chue kan de ji bi ne de be ji ka jwe kwa zang la ma sha ba chi chi ha kwa zang la ma sha ba chi chi kan ka le kha ba ti de be nyam su le ba yin da na xin kan ka le kha ba de be gen da se ne gom ne yue ba yin zang da da nge gyu le ya be yuen den tam je be yi mu de mo le ba so su gyu le ya da den de be ka jwe yuen den tam je gyu le ya jor de yus den de yin du sa ne da den de be be ka jwe pyu sum so be den de tam je le ba de yue ba yin zang ene 가와 나랑 같이 캐나다 상마 기부 써야다. 로마스 기부 써야다. 된제기베 가서에 대한 수요하듯.
Similarly, the great master Gutsongpa said that he had not just left his dharma as a mere understanding, but instead he had gone through incredible difficulties in his practice. And so he mixed those difficulties with the conditions and did the practice to a point where the qualities arose in his being as he thought of them. He really joined them or incorporated them into his own being. And so he said that he had gotten together all of the conditions and all the situations, the excellent conditions. He said that he had gone through all of the difficulties so that for his students, they could do it easily and delightfully.
안들이 인두산에 따뜻히 가르 숭어르스나 다 렌지 체계의 왕도 제비민 답에 아사말로베 찬디 데브르지레스 다임빈 렌지 체계 그유 라마 여바 점식 미변바 다 년랭 유 소소소 준비된 시럽리아 라레 데브르스 페나 당행의 슈브나 신기 베나 아마르비지기 칼라 심부시비스에 다 칼라디 원에 심부시비 다 텔레야베 칼라베 로단 주다 베 니버피 좀 써버고 진짜 칼라 심부스에 베 사초조체 베게 지시하래 사마사테야 다 사디야 수수 사오르마도 아메야 수수 첩제 사나 펜도메베 인자 디준젤데네 다 사마서드 지 소소리아 라리데 버르치레샤 데네 인두산에 디 균제나시 마란주 체규기다 냠냠수 렌규기베 쉐 에네 그 유공원남 지서마르베 덤바 데와르시가다 아지 지준 공원남지 가수에 가와 야사도만 제네 에네 베게 가수에 퓨숨 사바제 차르디 예버디 다 냠술레 말렌사드 소소라라 레데비치 가데 냠술렘베 이미나 냠술린 유기 튠겐데 차사 차르디 차브르 지바 데린주사 디준센데네 아는 아주 초지네 베지 뽑아게야지당 아니지 가와고메버르지 딘데 말레스
So what this is saying is that the cooperative conditions that we need are ready for us. They're they're waiting for us. But it does not really help us if it's just that the Kaju masters of the past have prepared us for it. We have to do the practice. We have to be diligent ourselves. We need to use the substantial cause that is within ourselves. It's like the example I gave. When the parent makes food, the parent can make a delicious meal, nutritious, and a wonderful, good meal that will be beneficial for the children. But if the children don't eat the meal, then it doesn't do them any good. It does not do the children any good if the parents end up eating the meal. Whether the children get any benefit or not depends upon whether they eat the meals themselves. And so similarly, we have the Dharma that we can practice, the Buddha and the Kaju forefathers have gone through many hundreds of difficulties to get this ready for us to practice. It's there, it's excellent and ready for us to practice. But whether we practice it or not depends upon us. So if we do the practice, it is all ready and waiting for us. And so if we look at this from one perspective, this is something that we can really have a lot of confidence about, and we can rejoice in this.
Today means 다 저조디 가수에 가나서 제사 드리지기 배 준주다 답변은 가나서 무구 있어야 돼 맞아 무구 있어야 돼 대화도 무구디 다 무구 있어야 돼 more dedicated somewhere 배 무구 있어야 돼 대화를 도시 가수에 배 가수에 르당의 누버를 채요 배치 다 대화서도 산도 조지 셈기 초나로 조인데 버리지 무기 시디산나 젠데베 셈기 초나 점이바 다가다 디 룽아기 냠랭가 토려야 바 가수에 깨야야 되지 되지 다들 인주산에 무 시디산에 longing 사마르베 다 메바시 보여야 돼 봐. 진짜지 중나 사마르베 지금 메바시 보여야 돼 봐. 다들 그것에 산에 된지 영화가 채도 다 룽아기 배 가서다 바 다 샤도스는 정도 룽아기 배 좋아하게 된지 과면으로 섬섬 체 되는 산에 제상 딱 간다 텔레야베 소수기 된도 녀제기 최대特别 된도 룽아기 배 가서다지 이제 셈기 손안자 많이 봐 룽아기 냠랭가 토라이 비냐 간다 베 시라기 가서다 베즈시 뭐 제버지 되지 바지 인사성
And so when we think about diligence, then there's devotion. And so devotion is like, if we compare faith and devotion, then devotion is like more dedicated. The more dedicated between faith and devotion, the one that's more dedication is devotion. So it's like it's got more power in our minds. It's like a different degree of longing in our minds. When we think about faith, then faith is like a feeling we have in our minds. But with devotion, devotion isn't just a feeling. It's not just an emotion. It's something that we have to, that we put together, that we do with our bodies and speech in practice. And so when we think about the Tibetan word for devotion, mugu, the first syllable, murpa, means to have longing. It's to really long for, it's this great longing that we have, thinking to ourselves, oh, if only it could be like that. We have this longing. And then the second part is gupa, which means like doing things, serving with our body and speech, or making it come to pass with our body and speech. And so what this means is that when we have devotion, it's not just some sort of emotion that that we feel for the Dharma that we seek. Rather, it is then taking our body and speech and putting the effort into getting this.
제가 로마에 진짜게 대묘기 대바다 메바 지금 좀바 중원이비나 라마 친이던 데바지 바지 마라베 강에르 비자 메데르 당하나 니마치래 데 촌나로 중스 다 가레스나 디 촌나 요가 좀스 가레스나 다 미망부지 등산 미망부지 기타 가서를 로마 망부지 다 라마자데 라마 가와니 라마 가네니레스 라마 가와요레스 녜자 라마도 가와요레스 and conditioning hours. Maji Kurang recommendation summer bebeji. Kurang module jadwes lama yagar module jadwes. Tadi ming module ta 총벌을 든지 임비네 수수용 와시아 총벌을 든지 module 지하요. 다에네 나를 들 미세지 나들 가고도 제자 교란들 주세 서로 차비나 kin사를 샤로 해주시 제가 대 미세 자스 게임도 제장에 뒤균 디셈을 샤디 제가 니마질이야 지 가나 좋아하는데 총수 오늘은 로마 대면 좀 되버지 리미나 라마 미라 가메레도 섬 라마 민제 가메 대비 존재는데 가르잖아 가나 손아를 시 가르잖아 상계의 전주선 받 함제 배 셈쟁이 되는 지알을 인진 뒤로도 저지시하는 쇼도야 다이네 코난서 고주 저지 재산 예비네 가수디 게데 오베 마제나 고디 오베 마제나 곧나 저리 지치러 고디 상계 전선 받아 치러 고제 에는 고디 바디압샤 계시 가수에게 대면 그바 고디 채샤나 남상 배디 참가진 상계 전선 받아 참가진 내 말해서 되네 뉴스안에 양나베 무슨 용거래 양나 밀람 더버질 용거래 간데스 용거에네 딱 간다라 로마 베지 대바도 메바 예데베질 임비나 라마 미니바다 미제베 셈제로 아유나 삼바르지 드네르비 용디도
So the student needs to have faith, this faith and longing. And if this faith and longing come together, then I don't think that that sort of a student will have any difficulty finding a genuine, authentic Lama. This is a thought that occurred to me one day. And the reason that this occurred to me is that these days there are often many people who come to me and they ask me, they say, I'm having trouble finding a Lama. How can I find a root Lama? Where will I find my root Lama? Can you please introduce me to someone who can be my Lama? Actually, if I were in business, then, I'd say, hey, I've got this friend over here, and then introduce them to my friend. But, this is not like that. In some ways, there's really nothing to do. And so I often think about this. But then one day it occurred to me that when you have a student who really has both the faith and the longing, then I think that student will have no difficulty finding a Lama. And the reason is that all of the Buddhas and the Bodhisattvas are ready at all 6 times of day and night to do things to benefit sentient beings. They're all ready and waiting. But if we don't open the door, if we're sitting inside, the Buddhas and the Bodhisattvas have got everything ready for us outside, but if we don't open the door, then it's difficult. But on the other hand, if you have both that faith and the longing, then I don't think that it's like they'll all come rushing towards you to help you. And so, for that reason, I think it's just we just have to open that door of faith. We have to actually open that door of faith and devotion. And if we have that, then I don't think we need to worry at all about whether or not we'll find a Lama or meet a Lama in this life.
다나 신기 소수에게다 가져에 자야 라마디 지미지 다다베지 구초신 시험으로지 전전 빌리니 쇼여버지 녀바도 권 매매소시 가르사는 왜이 그 유라만나무 가르수는 알았잖아 코다베 응을수 만제나야 나다 응을수 만제나야 나라베 대묘 동수께네 베 자야 라마 수니 에네 디존네 베지 원시 원시 넘버 타바 냠슬란 데 체비미나 에네지 가수에 세지 루지의 상계베인 스테네 대대비고 로마테다 녜 팔려야 되네 비 찌기 유바 고메스 찌기니 질마 유디베 고메스 코양 대자야 라마이 대양다 고유게 로마레 주루이스 데네 뉴스안에 디준선 데네 가수에 유바 셴데 먹어봐 예수 드네 두산 디 균전 되네 다 소수 냠수 렌시나 제 라마 메니에바 라마 메바 라메 퐁베 강에르비 메베 소르체샤
Similarly, I think that there's really no great need for, it's not absolutely necessary for us to go searching for a root Lama. And this is because the great Kaju masters of the past have often said that it was not actually necessary for them to meet them. If there's someone who had that strong faith and who held them to be who held them to be their root Lama, and then properly practiced the 4 empowerments, then that person can achieve Buddhahood in one lifetime in one body. And so, in that way, they said that if there was such a student and then the Lama, that it would not even be necessary for a single word to pass between them. That Lama would be the root Lama, and that student would be a true disciple. And so this is one way of a connection or lineage between them. And so I think that if we know how to practice this, then there will be no difficulty in terms of us finding a not finding a Lama, or of not having a Lama, or of being deprived of a Lama.
이민에 대양 가르쳐서나 따띠 가르친 거로서나 가주에 신이다 데베 라마 지니가 말에 삼네 디 미니베 균센도 체네 지최 가주에 제 머뉴 버려 딘제게 베 셈shum과게 요 말했어 다이미네 야 텔라 카타네 당에 라마땡미 라마시가 땡과 감도스 제자 디네 가주에 당에 나랑 소왔다 제자 안베 밀람나나 비디샤 리마샤 에너지 녜베 가라 암조나 지스도 니스도 사로 딘데 중부이미네 야 괜찮아요 딘 주스타네 도낭 아주야 지 직된베 차와를 이번에 데스데스 직된베 차와파 때바 상의 현주야 제비냐 텔레 데스 지 가수에 봐 롭지 지년을 게게는 고도와 근데 최사대 파 때네 람산 시야지요 말다디 다디 섬규리야베 용화 유행의 지금 말 모두 적고 드레인 주산에 디균전 때네 양예버도 지 천들의 이면이야 지 라마 셴된 최당화 된 수치와의 개심을 주제 대안 지당 그 라마라야 가장 고문남 기수나 라마라 나바니 주야레스 최슈세 라마 지단 캡텐세 라마 지니야레스 최슈세 라마스도 가르쳐 오라서나 지당기 되네벤 도주 명하다 제발이야 캐버여야 돼봐 탄예 장대봐 로당 시엔대버지 딘데질 총부 이미나 디자는 최슈 안디게게 가르쳐다 갈롭디스 년 제빈 저거 알았어 다오나 캡스 댄세 라마스도 가르쳐 오라서나 캡스 댄세 라마스도 사 수수 운에 전에 그배 다 간다 배 랑도르기 배 람된 슈스스는 장도 다 간다 배 수수기 로부 지사르 로부 지사르 데 미디 다 템보지 냠내 용기지 거마도 카데버 지부 팽어 오마스 데네 디 냠내 용기지 규라 벨라바순지 냠내 예데비지 고레스 데디 shum부이네 디기 가수에 거숭 지주로 쉬위미나 아니고 야부용 거레스 시아마도 라마 인제 참에 지미지다 가수 된데베 네 가수에 다 가수다 자외 라마 조르지 딘데지 제과야 저지 매외소지 딘데 인장 아주 라마라야 지 자외 라마 사야지 용되도와 다데 용과야 균진지도 가라사나 라마만 미지래 라마만 용초래 다 이메네 라마 디즈야 소소수기 배 최송다 메다메다 예빈 삼성 고배용도와 간데지 제고에나서 니 송다나지 제비네야 비기 송다 디즈만다 디 디레체 디스 고추 용어 제가 디급리야네 라마 조왕 라마 가르쳐야지 자외기 소수기 비 신진서를 지들이 지금 라마 주고 오요 다 이면에 디 라마디 컨데스 타지 어르서나 다 조디 연den기 차네 개발 체도 매비네야 거딘기 차네다 개발을 체체 수수규레야베 룽도기 연den 수수규레야다 계획 셈 나지마도 마제비네야 텐저비 개발 칭긴기 라마데 소리도 와 단도나 조조도 다디 된기 수수규리야 냠도 연데 genge의 소리도 다 됐다고 하래 다 지당 그 찌기 토안에 변도제 디즈에 거진지 첨보래 임비네 디니베 핀주지 도로 임비나 된기 런유레베 가서다 럽숨기 연데 개발 칭게의 소리도 와다 데거진체 차고 하래 임비 인자 다 데르지 삼동 와야 임자
But what does that really mean to say that? So, when you're not really able to find, what that means is that when you're not able to find an authentic Lama, it doesn't mean that you can't practice the Dharma and that you should get discouraged about it in any way. But on the other hand, some people might misunderstand this and think that it goes the other way. They might think, okay, now I don't need a lama at all. I can sort of, pray on my own. I can listen to things. I can put on headphones and listen. But that also...
No. No, something like, you can sort of, in the dream, somebody said to me something like that. And my ear, I heard that.
Oh, excuse me.
I'm just like related to that. I don't need physical like
Okay.
lama.
Okay, so it's like saying that that you don't need a lama of your on your a physical lama. That if you pray to someone, then they'll appear in your dreams, or you hear a voice in your ear. But if that were so, then that would be a little bit strange. It's like when we do things in the world, when you want to learn how to do something in the world, it's not just enough to look at how someone does it. You also need someone to show you how to do it, someone to teach you, someone to guide you in doing it. Similarly, with the Dharma, it's not just a question of seeing the Dharma that we then know how to do it. We have to have someone who has experience in the Dharma who can point it out and can introduce the Lama, or can introduce us to the Dharma. And so, for that reason, we need to have someone whom we need to have a Lama that we can follow, someone to ask for instructions. The Kadampa spiritual masters of the past said that there are two different types of lamas. They said that there are the lamas who, from whom we can receive Dharma teachings, and then there are the lamas whom we can rely on for refuge. The lamas from whom we can receive Dharma teachings are those who are learned in the sutras and the tantras. They know the meanings of the words. They're able to teach them, and we can listen to them and receive instructions from them as well. But then the lamas, from who are able to give us refuge.
캡텐스티 캡텐 외바 지디 최슈스르 봐 근데 캡텐 외 라마데 가르 고르스나 냠내 유데 주고 알았어 something there?
So, for the Lama from whom we can ask for refuge, it's someone who can teach us properly what it is that we need to do or what not to do.
No, something like he himself have some sort of practice or real practice, not just like philosophy or idea or something.
So we need someone who has some real practice of what should be done and what not be done. Someone for whom it's not just words that they say. Someone who's not just glib and can speak fastly, but someone who actually has the practice of the three trainings. And if we have a lama like that, that's the sort of lama. We can say the primary lama who is able to teach the Dharma. And so that is what we need. Now, there are many, it's of course possible that we can have many different lamas in this lifetime, but different lamas have different ways that they explain things, different ways that they say. And so sometimes one lama will say something one way, another lama will say it in another way that's maybe easier for us to understand. And so our root lama is the one. We need a root lama from whom we can receive these teachings, someone who we're fundamentally able to receive the teachings from. There may not be distinctions in these lamas in terms of their qualities, but there is a distinction in them in terms of the kindness that they have. Because when we start out without any qualities, a scripture realization within ourselves, but if there's a lama who is able to help us develop those qualities within ourselves, then that is the lama who in actuality is able to show us what the three trainings are. And that is the lama who is very kind to us. And so that is the way we need to think of the lama.
제가 디준선 때에다 안다 드레지기야 가다 담배 처리한 주버치기 라마지 고가래 마다지 양지 당기기 시험은 신 다 디자레 지 다다지가 라마무수지 고유에서 말해 제 바제 남게 인도와질 소아답지 않아 지금 레옹고에서 삼바로 지든지 삼단드네 제즈지에서 말해 다나 신기 지당기 라마사들이야 가수다 라마상보주에 최고야 배낭 알아서지나 아주 나서 내기 나와이미 내기 나와가다 MG 채워로 라지 채워로 다 라지 채스도잖아요 라지 야부지 채워래서라다 미사면 MG 야부지 채워도 MG 야부지 채스도잖아요 남중 아주 간데 채워서나 MGD 교행경가 제대로 말아 MG 상부 제스도잖아요 MG 야부지 상부 차되네 삼다지 MG 제대로 얼마다 다 MG 관계 교행경가 세대나 MG 자냐 여기 말해 봐지 드린 유산에 디균센데네지 MG 상부 세두산에 릭베 차 망하라고 드니지기 MG가 와도 다 다제 전에 제고요래 제상 아주 남유 다제치 사들은 도와 라마의 담바 이미 다제셔스 계시 공고 충분 이미나 로중이 다제잖아 되거든 다데 로중이 다제잖아 되거든 대웅마지 디 망부시에 사래 종교 체계 바베기 갈이야 종교 체계 바바나마 체계 바바 디걸이야 소비게 보세신 이래다 공기 로지게 바바 네 저랑 로출을 다지셔빈 라마 상보이미 다 저랑 라마 상보 인타줘야 되샤 나 로마 제수 손도 쉬브레스 안 종교 체계 바바 내라버지 엄마로야 저랑 로주 다지 네 저랑 로주 다지 저랑 로마 상부이면 다시 잡아요 다디 라마 카시에게 데라 가르치면서 대다한테 좀 고르차르스 당 고르차르스 알아들으면 took lots of times 최만한 거는 봐 다지 경가 쟤는 로마 볼 당 아주 등사들의 주주시다 21st century 드럼 얘기 인자 주주시다 다 간다르 디 준zen 가르산 로중이 드가스 베 가르소데 주주 조주스고 말다이네 다 간다르 공고 중들이 다시 이나 다시 지세야데 가르사나 드가스 베 가르소지 그 가르스기도 그 가르치기도 be khalya che taji chisga mane ta dona ju sosu gi tangi imji teba na sosu de imji teba ina sosu jap tu sara mare tinde gi be karshwe yenden gi chane samtang gor ma do be kyo ini de ne ar kyo janga che jo de na ane ba ji zabling tholya imji ya ba che nyaro chig mare de ju sane ti junzen de ne 가르쳐야 돼. 다지 교육 제한 가르쳐. 다지现在这个玩大大지체과의 개심을 주에 다이미네 다지 제사야 돼. 유엔데 이 차츠네. 유엔데가 참망어로 제베이미네. 그때는 저거래. 교육자네 매대베 지에나 다 진짜 괜찮아요다. 괜찮아 보시지. 배 가서다. 랍싱은다. 괜찮아 보시기 기성도. 교육지 지에버디 거진 첨보래. 교육자네 매비나 괜찮아 보이기 성도 빼나 고라 하나 주지 사실 녀월 렘베 풍부성을 네 셰바 고라라 교회시로 봐 오늘잖아 이내 때 마시는 아주 라마데 대뉴요만 대 투구요만 드네 인두산 삼설 교회 연된 차를 드려래 드네 인두산에 디균진 때네 간다라 다 소수기 강 소소라 강 참바지다 강 렘바르 딘디지기다 라마스 된 거야 개점으로 집이라
And so, for that reason, we need to have a Lama to teach us the Dharma in this life. It's not, as I said before, it's not okay to think that we don't need a Lama, that there's going to come some voice from the heavens that will come and tell us how to do the Dharma practice. That's really not how it will happen. So we need to have a good Lama. And when you think about, well, what does it mean? I mean, what's the meaning of a good Lama? It's like when you think about an illness. When you're ill, you need a doctor. And when you want a doctor, you want a good doctor. But when you look for a doctor, you don't look solely in terms of the doctor's defects or the doctor's faults. You look for the qualities. You see what they can do, what's good about them. You don't only look at the faults, because all doctors, everyone has faults. And so when we look for a doctor, we're primarily look to see if they have more good qualities, more good aspects. That is how we look for a doctor. It's not that we're only, so in this way, that is when we're examining, we're not only examining to see whether there are faults. And so sometimes it's said that we should look for a Lama and examine a Lama. We can examine for a Lama up to 12 years if we like, it is said. There's something I have, something I've mentioned before. There was a great master named Donton Shugya. At that time, there was the Mongolian king Setend, who became his student. And this Mongolian king said to the Dromten Shugya, I have now examined you for 6 years, and I've decided you're definitely a good Lama, so I'm going to take you as my Lama. Please take you as my student. But Dromten Shugya was not an easy Lama. And he said, he replied, well, you examined me for 6 years to see if I'm an appropriate Lama, so now I'm going to examine you for 6 years to see if you're an appropriate student. In this way, we need, the Lama needs to we need to examine the Lama and look at the Lama. But these days, we're too busy to examine. We don't have enough time to do it, because in the 20th century, we just don't have time to do these things. But as it's
maybe that is long. What I thought.
Okay.
20 years, 12 years is maybe not necessary. And also, especially 21st century, we don't have time to, have time, that much time to.
So-
Everybody, yeah.
So maybe in the 21st century we don't have that much time to examine our lamas, but we should examine the lama. But when we do so, we shouldn't just look for one or two faults or see if we can pick out any problems in the lama, because instead of looking, if we look for the faults, we're going to see faults. Instead, we need to look at the aspect of their qualities. If we spend all our time looking for lamas who don't have any faults, we're not going to find anyone anywhere in the world. And so, in this way, it's okay to examine the lama. It's important to examine the lama, but we need to look for them in terms of the qualities of the lama, to find to see one who has more qualities than faults. Otherwise, if we were merely to examine whether they have their faults, then that would be a little bit strange to do that. It's because naturally it's possible that they can have the faults as well as the qualities, and for this reason, it would be strange to only look at their faults. It's because we have the five aggregates of grasping, and so just because we have these aggregates of grasping, it's natural that there are going to be faults within.
사제 녀월님 풍부가
That's it.
집에
That's it.
제대로 다 가신 야모다 풍부가 그런 민거로 심해 다 간다 전다 도도 시에는 아주 미 라마 미수스全봐 미수스全코랑 다 준실에서 받을 라상 저거 있다 맞아 녀월님 풍부가 sana 다.
So with the lama who has the five aggregates of grasping, or the skandhas, basically what it means is that a lama appears in a human form, and because the lama appears in the human form, then you can definitely say that they have some faults. And perhaps it's also actually a bit better for us that they have some faults. In any case, what is important is that we look for a lama who is who fits with us, with whom who is appropriate for us, and that is the sort of lama that we need to follow.
Salue Gade, Nasho Jumbe, Sase, Seso, Lonye, Chashu Minya, Ganjen, Raji, Sayun, Rajushi, Kebra, Dela, Seve, Damaso, Ganjen, Jondre, Luzere, Yudu, Shishin, Tsene, Jungur, Medan, Mimi, Chanju, Sumjo, Rimboje, Mange, Gene, Nuze, Sumjo, Pinje, Chambe, Simdan, Dene, Ya, Puyu, Dawe, Dige, Benge, Sange, Demba, Dage, Yune, Sho, Sasun, Yawa, Seje, Konde, Geve, Zawa, Ganse, Bada, Jala, San, Braga, Sola, Meme, Revo, Ro, Yuro, Sena, Jine, Minjuro, Dembe, Shena, Shunye, Minje, Dembe, Shena, Jeda, Mo, Mola, Roba, Deda, Joge, Rotaye, Roa, Gula, Benje, Gondo,